Hello and welcome back to MoonieGuide. Today, we're gonna take a journey through time in a small medieval village and experience the day in the life of a medieval baker. Before we start, if you enjoy slow, soothing storytelling, the kind that helps you rest, dream, or simply escape the noise of the world, make sure you subscribe to MoonieGuide. It helps this little corner grow, so we can journey together through time, from ancient myths to old village nights like this one. You can also leave a comment below. Tell me where you're listening from tonight, or what stories you'd like to wander into next. I love hearing how far these stories travel all around the world and help those unwinding from their hectic day. Now, it's time to let loose, wind down, get comfortable and cozy from wherever you are, let the lights fade, let your breath slow, and let this story carry you back in time. To a small village, long ago, where the scent of fresh bread still drifts through the dawn, the air is cool and faintly damp, touched with the scent of earth and smoke. You open your eyes to darkness, the deep, comfortable kind that feels like velvet pressing gently against the senses. Somewhere beyond the shuttered window, a bell tolls from the village church. It sounds slow and distant, carried through the fog that always settles before dawn. You are a baker. And this is another morning in the village, quiet, patient, unchanged for generations. You lie still for a moment beneath your woolen blanket, listening to the faint creak of the timber beams above. The old house shifts with the night air. You can almost hear the heartbeat of the village beyond these walls, the sigh of sleeping cattle in their stalls, the bark of a lone dog somewhere in the lane, the rhythm of your own breath mingling with it all. The embers in your hearth have dimmed to a faint orange glow. You watch them for a moment before rising. When you push back the blanket, the chill greets your skin like an old friend, sharp but familiar. You reach for the heavy cloak that hangs beside the bed and wrap it around your shoulders before crossing the small room. The floorboards creak softly beneath your feet. The walls smell faintly of flour, smoke, and the faint sweetness of yeast. You pass the table where a wooden bowl and a loaf of yesterday's bread rest covered with linen. You tear off a small piece, firm, dark, flecked with bits of coarse grain, and chew slowly. It's tough but comforting, the taste of your own hands' work. You pour a little ale into a clay cup, just enough to wet your throat, and sit for a moment in the flickering half-light. The warmth of the drink spreads through your chest, grounding you, steadying you for the long hours ahead. Outside, the night has not yet given way to dawn. You open the door quietly, and the cold air rushes in, a breath of winter still lingering even though spring has begun to stir. The village lies silent under a haze of mist. Thatched roofs glisten faintly with dew. A single torch burns low beside the church gate. The sky above is deep indigo, stars fading one by one as the horizon begins to pale. You take a deep breath. The air smells of wood smoke, damp hay, and the faint sweetness of the fields. Somewhere, a rooster stirs. You make your way to the bakery next door, your workshop, your heart. The small stone building leans slightly, its chimney blackened by years of fire and flour. You push open the door and step into the familiar scent of warm ashes and faint yeast. The oven is cold now, but the air still remembers yesterday's heat. The hearth lies waiting, dark and silent, dusted with fine white flour from the day before. On the workbench, wooden troughs, bowls, and paddles are neatly arranged, each one carrying the faint mark of your hands, shaped by countless mornings just like this. You kneel by the hearth and stir the ashes gently. Beneath the grey powder, you find the glowing heart of last night's fire. A single spark catches the edge of a log, and soon a small flame flickers to life. You feed it carefully, dry twigs first, then larger pieces of wood, until it grows steady and bright. The light spills across the walls, soft and golden, painting the room with life again. The rhythm of the morning begins slow, deliberate, patient. You fill a bucket with water from the well outside. The rope creaks as you draw it up, droplets scattering in the cool air. You pour it into a clay basin, watching the ripples tremble and settle. The smell of the fresh water, clean and earthy, fills the room. You take a sack of grain from the corner, coarse rye, mixed with barley. The good wheat is for the nobles and the church, but this bread, hearty and dark, will feed the village. You run your fingers through the grain, rough, living, familiar. You pour a portion into the small hand mill and begin to grind. The stone wheels hum softly, turning with the rhythm of your breath. Flour drifts into the air, settling on your hands and cloak, turning everything pale and ghost-like in the firelight. The sound of grinding becomes a kind of music, steady, meditative, ancient. Time passes quietly. The village outside still sleeps, wrapped in darkness. Only the faint crackle of the fire and the turn of the mill fill the room. When the flour is ready, you sift it gently into a wooden trough. You add a pinch of salt, coarse and grey, brought from the coast by a passing merchant weeks ago. You pour in the water, warm from the hearth, and reach for the jar of starter you've kept alive for years, a living spirit of dough, bubbling faintly in its clay pot. You mix slowly, the wooden spoon tracing circles through the thickening batter. The scent rises, sour, alive, comforting. You set aside the spoon and knead with your hands. The dough resists at first, cool and firm, then softens under your palms. Flour coats your fingers. The table creaks softly beneath your weight. You press, fold, turn again and again until the rhythm takes over. The world narrows to the movement of your hands, the sound of the fire, the scent of grain and smoke. This is your craft, your prayer, your meditation. Each loaf begins this way before dawn in silence. When the dough is ready, you cover it with cloth and let it rest by the hearth. The heat will wake it slowly, like a sleeper rising from dreams. You sit back on the stool, stretching your hands before the fire. Your body is tired but steady. This life has shaped your muscles and your patience alike. As the dough rests, your mind drifts. You think of the village, the families still asleep in their cottages, the shepherd who will soon walk the fields, the blacksmith who will light his forge. You think of the rhythm that ties everyone together, the quiet cooperation of lives moving in time with the seasons. You take another bite of yesterday's bread, now softer from the warmth of the fire. It tastes of earth and salt, of simple work. You tear off another piece, spread it with a smear of soft cheese and eat slowly. Outside, faint light begins to touch the sky. The mist curls around the roofs. The first rooster calls again, and the bell tolls once more, low, deliberate, marking the first hour of the day. You rise. The dough has risen, soft and full beneath the cloth. You lift it gently, dividing it into rough rounds. The surface feels alive, warm beneath your fingertips. You place each loaf on a wooden peel, sprinkle with flour, and mark the tops with a small cross, a habit of blessing done without thought but full of meaning. The oven is ready now. You brush away the embers, leaving the heat to settle in the stone. When you slide the first loaf in, the scent begins to bloom almost at once, rich, toasty, faintly sweet. You can almost feel the village stirring at that smell, the way it drifts through the lanes and over the fields. You sit quietly as the bread bakes, listening to the soft cracks of the crust forming, the sigh of the fire, the hum of the waking world. The room feels golden now, the light from the oven mingling with the first glow of morning. And for a moment, everything feels suspended, the fire, the flour, the breath in your chest. You are the baker. You live in the rhythm of warmth and grain, of night turning to dawn, of hunger answered and hearts at peace. Soon, the door will open and the day will begin. But for now, there is only this, the quiet miracle of bread rising, the whisper of firelight, the soft promise of another day beginning in the heart of the village. The night still clings to the village when you step outside again, breath rising in the chill. The world is wrapped in that quiet hour between darkness and dawn, when everything feels suspended, as if time itself has stopped to listen. Your bakery glows faintly behind you, a lantern of warmth in a sea of mist. The air smells of damp wood and faint smoke. You draw the hood of your cloak closer and walk to the well at the end of the lane. The rope creaks as you lower the bucket, the water below black and glimmering like glass. When you draw it up, droplets scatter over your hands, cold enough to sting. The sky is a pale gray now, the faintest line of pink brushing the horizon. The first birds begin to stir. You carry the bucket inside and pour it into a clay basin. Steam rises faintly where it meets the warmth of the hearth. You roll up your sleeves and prepare the table. The wooden surface is worn smooth from years of use, dusted with a fine veil of flour that catches the golden light of the fire. You reach for the coarse sack of grain stored in the corner. It was milled from the last harvest, a mix of rye and barley, the kind of bread the villagers can afford. The good white wheat goes to the manor house, to the Lord's kitchen, and to the church, where the priests bless loaves at holy feasts. But this bread, humble, dark, nourishing, is the heart of the village. You pour a handful of grain into your palm and study it. Each kernel is small, uneven, marked by the roughness of the land that grew it. You can almost smell the fields, the rain, the sun, the long days of harvest. You tip it into the small hand mill and begin to grind. The stones whisper against each other, a soft, circular song. You turn the handle slowly, watching the flour gather like pale snow in the bowl beneath. The rhythm soothes you, steady, eternal. Flour drifts into the air, dusting your hair, your cloak, the table. The smell of it, dry, nutty, faintly sweet, fills the room. You think of your father, who taught you this craft, and his father before him. The same movements, the same rhythm, carried across generations like an unbroken prayer. When the flour is ready, you sift it through your fingers. The coarser bits you'll save for pottage later, nothing goes to waste. You sprinkle a pinch of salt, the precious kind brought from the coast by traders who speak in strange tongues. You add water slowly, stirring until it thickens. Then you reach for the jar of sourdough starter resting near the hearth. You've tended this jar for years, feeding it every day with flour and water, keeping it alive through every season. It smells faintly sharp, alive, a quiet breath of fermentation, warm and comforting. You pour a little into the trough and begin to mix. The spoon moves in wide, slow circles. The dough thickens, resists. You press your hands into it, soft, yielding, sticky at first. The warmth of your palms coaxes it to life. The rhythm comes naturally, push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. You knead for a long time until the dough changes texture beneath your touch, elastic, smooth, breathing. You work in silence, listening to the faint crackle of the fire, the distant call of a waking bird, the whisper of your own breath. When the dough is ready, you shape it into a rough mound and cover it with a cloth. It rests beside the fire, rising slowly in the gentle warmth. You wipe your hands and pour yourself a small cup of ale. It's thin and mild, but the taste comforts you, slightly sour, faintly sweet, made from barley much like the one in your bread. You tear a piece from a loaf baked yesterday, dip it into the ale and chew slowly. The crust is firm, the crumb dense and faintly sour. You taste the labor in it, the grind of the mill, the heat of the oven, the patience of time. You take another bite, slower this time, and let the flavor settle. This is not just food, it is memory, a promise renewed each morning. As you eat, your eyes drift toward the window. The mist outside is thinning. You can see faint shapes now, rooftops, the low fence of the pen where geese sleep, the outline of the well. Your mind drifts backward to the last winter when the fields lay bare beneath snow. The bread then was dense and dark, baked with ground peas and oat husks to stretch what grain remained. You remember the hollow look in people's eyes during that lean month, the quiet gratitude when you handed them a still warm loaf. Bread became a gift then, not just food, a small act of mercy against the cold. You close your eyes and can still smell that winter's smoke in every breath, the sharpness of frozen air, the comfort of firelight. The memory fades as you return to the present moment. The fire has burned down to glowing embers, steady and strong. You stir it, adding another log, and the light flares golden against the walls. The dough beside the hearth has doubled in size, smooth and soft beneath the cloth. You press a fingertip gently into its surface. It springs back with life. You divide it into loaves, some round, some long, and set them on wooden boards dusted with flour. With a small blade, you score each one across the top, marking them with the sign of a cross, as your father did, as his father did before him. A quiet blessing for good fortune, for health, for another safe day. The oven is ready. You brush the hearth clean of ashes, testing the heat with your hand. The warmth radiates against your palm, deep and steady, the kind of heat that holds stories in it. You lift the loaves with a wooden peel, one by one, and slide them into the oven's mouth. The sound is soft, a whisper of dough meeting stone. Almost immediately, the scent begins to rise. It fills the room, the deep, nutty fragrance of rye, the faint sweetness of barley, the sharp edge of fermenting yeast. It mingles with the smoke in the air and seems to curl through the cracks of the door, slipping into the village beyond. You sit on the stool by the hearth, eyes half closed, hands resting in your lap. The bread crackles softly as it bakes, the sound of crusts hardening, of steam escaping, of transformation. You listen. To the oven, to the air, to the heartbeat of the world waking outside. This is the stillness you love most, the hour when work becomes meditation. You've lived through so many mornings like this that you could measure your life not by years, but by loaves. Each one a sunrise, a moment, a memory. The village begins to stir. You hear the lowing of cattle in the fields, the rattle of a cart on the lane. The blacksmith's hammer will soon begin to ring. The shepherd will open the pen. The church bell will call the first prayer. The air is changing, the cool dampness giving way to the first warmth of dawn. A faint light touches the window, pale gold spreading slowly across the floor. You rise and step outside. The sky has softened to a watercolor of blue and pink. The fields stretch out under a low blanket of mist. The rooftops gleam with dew. You take a deep breath, and the air tastes different now, fresher, full of promise. You lean against the doorway, arms crossed, and watch the horizon brighten. Behind you, the oven hums quietly, full of life. Your thoughts wander again to springtime not long ago, when the fields began to green and wild herbs pushed through the thawing earth. You remember mixing those herbs into the dough, giving the loaves a scent of renewal, thyme, nettle, and sometimes even dandelion. Those were the first loaves of the new season, light and fragrant, shared by neighbors to celebrate the turning of the year. Each season changes your bread, as surely as it changes the land. In winter, it's heavy and dark, sustaining the weary. In spring, light and green. In summer, rich with the warmth of grain. And in autumn, oh, autumn brings the golden bread of harvest. You close your eyes and see it. The long tables set up by the church, loaves lined in rows, baskets overflowing, laughter echoing in the square. The smell of apples and roasted grain in the air, the hum of music. The way bread tastes sweeter when the harvest is good. The memory lingers, then fades like smoke curling into the air. Behind you, the oven calls softly. You return inside. The crusts have turned golden brown, dusted with flour, cracked slightly on top. You lift each loaf out carefully, setting them on the wooden rack to cool. The scent deepens, filling every corner of the room. You run your hand lightly over one loaf, the crust firm, the body still faintly warm. Steam rises from the cut as you break it open. The inside is soft, dense, breathing heat and fragrance. You tear a small piece and taste it. It's simple yet perfect, the faint tang of sourdough, the salt, the sweetness of grain. It tastes of the earth, of patience, of all the mornings before this one. You sit once more by the fire, letting the heat wrap around you. The village will soon awaken fully. Footsteps will sound on the lane. The door will open, and hands will reach for these loaves, warm and new, carrying the comfort of the hearth into their homes. But for now, there is peace. You close your eyes and breathe. In the scent of bread, the warmth of fire, the faint hum of dawn breaking over the fields. The day is coming, and you are ready. The morning has unfolded fully. Outside, the village is alive with gentle motion. Chickens scratching at the soft earth, cows shifting in the sunlit pens, carts rattling slowly along the uneven cobblestones. Yet inside your bakery, there is a lull, a soft pause between batches, a quiet breathing of the day. You wipe your hands, dusting flour from your fingers and arms. The oven hums softly, still warm, radiating gentle heat into the room. You pull a stool close to the hearth and sit, letting your body relax into the quiet rhythm of the midday hour. A small meal awaits you, a thick slice of bread, still faintly warm from the previous batch, paired with a smear of soft cheese, a few salted nuts, and a sip of fresh water from the well. Each bite is deliberate, slow, grounding. You feel the warmth of the hearth behind you, the comforting aroma of baked grain, and the distant sounds of the village, soft, rhythmic, alive. As you eat, your thoughts wander. You recall the last autumn harvest, golden fields heavy with wheat, barley stacked in neat sheaves, rye drying in the sun, the air rich with the scent of earth and grain. The bread you baked then was deep and dense, full of sustenance to carry the village through the coming winter. The flavor of that bread lingers in memory, a slightly earthy tang, the faint sweetness of grain toasted in the oven, the warmth of shared meals around the long tables of the square. You lean back, closing your eyes briefly, tasting it again in memory. Each season has its own bread, its own flavor, its own story. Winter bread, dark and sustaining, to fortify the body through the cold. Spring bread, light and fragrant, mixed with herbs that speak of renewal. Summer bread, soft and golden, full of warmth and abundance. Autumn bread, rich and hearty, carrying the final strength of the harvest before the long months ahead. The sun has climbed higher now, spilling through the small window and catching motes of flour suspended in the air. Dust drifts slowly downward, golden and quiet, settling over the wooden counters and racks. You watch it fall, letting your mind follow the gentle path of each speck, tracing its slow descent. Outside, the hum of daily life continues. A cart passes, its wooden wheels creaking. Water splashes from the well. Voices rise and fall in the streets, soft and distant, punctuated by the clatter of tools and the occasional lowing of cattle. Each sound is familiar, comforting, a reminder of the rhythm of the village, the quiet pulse of work and life, steady and enduring. You reach for a small loaf you baked last week, a darker rye mixed with a handful of barley grains. Breaking it slowly, you notice the crust's firmness, the faint steam rising, the earthy scent. You eat it deliberately, letting the flavor settle on your tongue. It is simple, nourishing, and yet it carries weight, the weight of labor, of care, of countless mornings spent shaping grain into sustenance. As you sit, your mind drifts to springtime. You remember kneading dough infused with fresh herbs, thyme, nettle, and a few stray dandelion leaves found at the edge of the fields. The dough smelled faintly of the sun, of damp soil, of rain lingering on young leaves. Those loaves were lighter, almost fragrant, shared freely with neighbors as they passed by the bakery, a small taste of the season's promise, a soft celebration of life returning to the land after winter's quiet. You breathe in the air again, warm now from the hearth, carrying the scent of bread and smoke. Each inhalation feels grounding, connecting you to this place, to the village, to the day unfolding beyond these walls. The smell of the bakery, so familiar, so steady, seems to weave into the rhythm of your heartbeat, syncing your breath to the gentle pulse of life around you. A quiet flicker of memory arises. Winter evenings when the days were short and cold, and bread was dense and sustaining. You remember the aroma of coarse rye mixed with bits of roasted grains, the sound of logs cracking in the hearth, the low murmur of families gathered to share meals. Bread was more than food then, it was warmth, it was sustenance, it was hope. You feel a quiet gratitude for the simplicity, for the continuity, for the labor that carries across seasons and generations. You take a sip of water, watching the sunlight shift across the walls. It glimmers on the wooden counters, catching the edges of the flour-dusted tools. The room feels golden, timeless, a sanctuary of quiet work and care. Another small meal follows, a slice of bread with a smear of soft cheese, a handful of dried fruit if it is available, eaten slowly, deliberately, the flavors simple yet full of substance. You taste the seasons again, the faint sweetness of summer grains, the depth of autumn harvests, the resilience of winter rye. Each morsel is grounding, a bridge between the work of your hands and the life of the village beyond. You glance toward the oven. The coals have cooled slightly, the heat steady and patient. Dough rests on the boards nearby, rising gently, alive beneath the cloth. You reach for it, pressing a fingertip lightly into its surface. It springs back, smooth and elastic, full of quiet energy. You imagine the next batch, the slow turn of grains into flour, flour into dough, dough into bread, the unbroken cycle of life and labor, simple and sacred. The midday sun continues to rise, brushing warmth across the village square. Children play quietly at the edges of the lanes, their laughter soft and fleeting. The blacksmith's hammer rises and falls in rhythmic cadence. Women move through doorways, carrying baskets of water, tending to animals, preparing meals. Each movement, small and deliberate, forms the pulse of the day, steady, continuous, familiar. You return to the bread. You need another batch, hands coated in flour, pressing, folding, turning. Each motion is deliberate, meditative. Your breath is steady, matching the rhythm of the dough. The aroma rises, mingling with the faint tang of yeast, the earthiness of grains, the warmth of the oven. The village hums around you, a soft chorus of life and labor. The midday sun shifts again, casting long, gentle shadows across the floorboards. You sit once more by the hearth, letting your hands rest for a moment. You taste another small piece of bread, feeling its warmth, its texture, its history. It carries the seasons with it, the labor of your hands, the care of generations. Time moves gently here. You notice the faint sway of herbs drying in the corner, the soft creak of floorboards, the faint patter of birds moving across the rooftops. You close your eyes briefly, letting the warmth of the hearth, the scent of bread, the rhythm of the village settle into every sense. You imagine the seasons ahead, summer with golden wheat ripening in the fields, autumn with harvest loaves heavy and fragrant, winter with dark rye sustaining the village through cold months. Each season brings its bread, its flavor, its memory. Each loaf carries the story of your hands, of the village, of life itself. For now, though, the moment is here. Midday, quiet, still, alive with the slow pulse of work, reflection, and sustenance. You sit, hands folded, tasting, breathing, watching. The world continues gently, the village breathing around you, the warmth of the hearth grounding you, the smell of bread rising and curling into the day. This is your pause, your rest, your reflection. The midday sun filters through the window, golden and soft, wrapping the bakery in light. And you, steady, patient, alive with quiet energy, are at the center of it all, holding the rhythm of bread, of seasons, of life itself. The sun has climbed high, casting golden light across the rooftops. Shadows retreat into corners, and the village seems to stretch awake, full of life yet measured in gentle, steady motion. The air is warm now, carrying a faint scent of hay, herbs, and the lingering sweetness of your morning loaves. You move slowly through the bakery, arranging the newly baked bread on the wooden racks. Each loaf is golden, slightly cracked on top, emanating a gentle aroma that drifts into the streets. You can sense the villagers stirring, hands brushing flour from sleeves, baskets shifting in the soft light, the faint murmur of movement outside. A cart approaches the square, wheels creaking across cobblestones, carrying goods from distant towns. Spices wrapped in cloth, dried fruits, a few fresh herbs from the coastal markets. You watch as the items are unloaded, their subtle aromas mingling with the scent of your bread. The smell is heady and familiar, ginger, cinnamon, dried figs and cloves, faint and sweet in the warm afternoon air. The bakery feels alive with quiet energy. You pause to lift a loaf from the rack, its crust warm beneath your fingers, and break a small piece to taste. The texture is soft yet firm, dense with nourishment. You feel the rhythm of the day in your hands and in your body, a steady hum that carries you through the hours. Your eyes drift toward the window, noticing the villagers as they go about their afternoon routines. A mother bends over her basket of herbs, tying bundles carefully. A child follows behind, clutching a small loaf, crumbs dusting the cobblestones. The blacksmith hammers steadily in his forge, sparks rising faintly, mingling with the golden sunlight. Your mind wanders to tales that drift through the village, whispered stories carried by travelers and merchants. One speaks of a loaf that fed a village during a harsh winter, rising almost miraculously despite scant grains. Another tells of a saint whose hands blessed the baker's oven, ensuring each loaf carried warmth and protection. These stories are not shouted aloud here. They are absorbed in the rhythm of the day, lingering like the scent of your bread, soft and steady, part of the texture of life. You need a new batch of dough for the afternoon bake, hands pressing and folding, feeling the elasticity under your fingers. The grains have been milled finely, mixed with a pinch of salt and the starter you've tended carefully. The dough rises steadily as you work, soft and warm beneath the cloth. A small snack accompanies your labor, a few pieces of cheese, thinly sliced, and a handful of dried fruit. The flavors are simple but satisfying, grounding you as the day moves around you. Each bite reminds you of the cycles of the year. Summer's sweetness preserved for winter, autumn's abundance carried through the months, spring's green freshness just beginning to stir. Outside, the village moves at its quiet pace. Carts rattle, animals shift, and the wind carries faint scents of distant fields and nearby woods. A soft bell tolls from the church tower, marking the passage of the hour. You pause for a moment, letting the sound settle, harmonizing with the low hum of activity around you. Your hands return to the dough. You shape it carefully, dividing it into loaves, gently scoring the tops to allow the crust to crack evenly in the oven. Each loaf is unique, yet all carry the same warmth and intent. You slide them into the oven, the soft sound of dough meeting stone almost musical. Steam rises immediately, curling upward, carrying the fragrance of grain, salt, and careful hands into every corner of the bakery. You watch it rise, the crusts forming, golden brown, crackling softly. The scent drifts outward through the open door, brushing against the streets, settling in the air, wrapping the village in quiet comfort. Your attention drifts to the details of life around you. Herbs hang from beams, drying slowly in the warmth of the oven. Flour dusts the shelves, sparkling faintly in the afternoon sun. Tiny crumbs scatter across the table, each one a testament to care and labor, absorbed into the rhythm of the day. You recall summer afternoons when travelers arrived, carrying stories of distant lands. They brought small treasures, dried figs, spices, small trinkets, and tales of roads that stretched for days, mountains that seemed endless, forests that whispered with unknown voices. The stories were always soft here, never hurried, blending into the texture of life, carried gently like smoke through the streets. Sometimes the village children would peek through the open door, curious about the loaves. They moved quietly, fascinated by the rising dough, the heat of the oven, the scent that seemed to fill the world. You would offer a small piece of crust, enough to taste, to hold, to carry the warmth of the bakery into their day. You take a slow breath, letting the warmth, scent, and gentle hum of life settle into every part of you. You close your eyes briefly, imagining the stories carried by each loaf, each day, each season. Bread is more than food here. It is memory, history, sustenance, comfort, and quiet celebration. You sip water from the clay jug beside you, cool and grounding. The oven hums, the dough rises, the village breathes around you. Your hands return to shaping the next batch, slow, deliberate, careful. Each movement is meditative, a continuation of the rhythm established long ago by your father and his father before him. The afternoon stretches gently. You notice subtle changes in the light, shadows lengthening, golden tones deepening, the smell of the streets shifting with the warmer air. You pause again to taste a small piece of bread, savoring its texture, its warmth, its living history. The day carries on, and you move with it, a quiet scent of patience and care. The village may speak through movement, through gestures, through the scent of bread and smoke, but no words are needed. The rhythm of life is present in every detail, the kneading of dough, the crackling of the oven, the shifting of sunlight, the scent of grain and fire. And in this gentle, steady hum, the afternoon carries on, soft and warm, filled with the quiet stories of a village, the bread of a baker, and the enduring, unspoken rhythms of life itself. The sun begins to dip toward the horizon, painting the village in a soft, amber glow. Shadows stretch across the cobblestones, reaching toward the walls of cottages, the square, the pens where animals settle for the night. The air carries a gentle warmth, tempered by the cooling earth, and faint whispers of smoke curl from chimneys as evening fires are lit. You step outside briefly, taking in the calm of the golden hour. The village seems to breathe differently now, slower, softer, as if exhaling after a day of quiet labor. The scent of your morning bread still lingers faintly in the lanes, mingling with the aroma of roasting vegetables, herbs, and wood smoke from other homes. Back inside your bakery, the oven cools, leaving behind a residual warmth that fills the room like a gentle embrace. The bread you baked this afternoon sits on the racks, golden brown and crackling faintly, exuding a rich, comforting scent. You lift a loaf carefully, breaking off a small piece to taste. It is soft, dense, and warm, the culmination of hours of patient work, of grain and water transformed by time and care. You pause and notice the subtle changes in the air. The golden sunlight shifts to a deeper amber, brushing across flour-dusted counters and wooden boards. Dust motes drift lazily in the light, floating as if in slow motion. The bakery is quiet now, alive only with the hum of residual heat and the gentle creaks of the timber floor. A simple evening meal waits, a thick slice of rye bread smeared with soft cheese, perhaps accompanied by a small portion of roasted root vegetables. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, letting the flavors settle. Each taste is grounding, the faint tang of the dough, the earthy sweetness of vegetables, the subtle saltiness of cheese. The meal is humble, yet rich with sustenance, a reminder of the seasons, of the land, of the labor that shaped it. Outside, the village settles. The chickens roost, the geese huddle in their pens, the cattle lie quietly in the fields. A gentle breeze carries the scent of hay, damp earth, and the faint tang of evening fires. The bells toll softly from the church, marking the hour, their sound mingling with the low hum of life winding down. You lean against the doorway of the bakery, watching the soft light touch the thatched roofs. You recall summer evenings when travelers would pass through, leaving traces of distant lands, dried fruits, spices, stories carried like whispers in the air. And winter evenings, when the streets were quiet beneath snow and the hearth's warmth drew everyone closer, the scent of dense rye filling small homes, the rhythm of shared meals connecting one house to the next. The baker's hands return to the bread. You lift one of the cooling loaves, feeling its warmth fade gradually beneath your fingertips. The crust is crisp, the interior soft, the aroma full of memory, of grains milled, of dough kneaded, of fire tended. You press your fingers lightly into the loaf, feeling the life that remains in it, the quiet energy of transformation preserved within the golden crust. A few villagers pass by the open door, carrying baskets and bundles, the evening light brushing their faces. The sounds of their movement are soft and measured, the shuffle of feet on stone, the faint clatter of a wooden bucket, the rustle of cloth against bodies. You watch them briefly, noting the small details, the careful placement of a bundle, the gentle tug of a child's hand, the soft exchange of a smile. Words are unnecessary here, the rhythm of life is clear in every gesture. Your mind drifts to the seasons again. Autumn is nearing, and with it the harvest bread, heavy, golden, full of grains stored for winter. You remember the long days spent baking then, the air thick with the scent of grain and smoke, the streets filled with baskets and bundles, neighbors carrying loaves home for supper. Each season changes the bread, and each loaf carries the flavor of its time, the warmth of summer, the richness of autumn, the endurance of winter, the freshness of spring. You take another slow bite of your evening bread, letting the flavors fill your senses. The warmth lingers on your tongue, the texture firm but yielding, the aroma surrounding you like a memory of the day. The fire behind you crackles faintly, its soft sound a gentle punctuation to the quiet unfolding of the evening. Outside, the sky deepens into twilight. Faint stars appear, delicate pinpricks against a deepening indigo. The village roofs darken, the windows glowing faintly from fires within. You can hear the distant lowing of cattle, the soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, the faint creak of carts making their way home. You move through the bakery, touching the cooling loaves, dusting flour lightly, arranging the remaining dough for the night. The motions are deliberate, slow, meditative. Each loaf carries the story of the day, the work of your hands, the cycle of the village. The passage of time. A quiet reflection comes with the fading light. You think of the days behind and the days to come, the bread that will rise tomorrow, the seasons turning, the rhythm of life continuing unbroken. Each loaf is a bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, a symbol of care, patience, and endurance. The last light slips through the window, golden fading to amber, then soft purple shadows. The village quiets, the animals rest, the streets are nearly empty. You take one final loaf from the rack, feeling its warmth, its weight, the gentle promise of nourishment it carries. You place it carefully on the counter, letting it rest, a quiet monument to the day's work. The hearth cools gradually, the smell of smoke fading replaced by the lingering aroma of grain and warmth. You sit once more, hands resting in your lap, listening to the faint pulse of life outside and within the bakery. The day has moved through you, steady, measured, full of care and quiet reflection. The evening carries on gently, stretching across the village, wrapping the streets, the homes, and the fields in a soft embrace of light fading into night. You breathe deeply, tasting the warmth, the aroma, the memory of bread, and the steady rhythm of life in this small medieval village. And as twilight deepens, you rest, steady, patient, alive with the quiet knowledge that tomorrow will bring the same rhythm again. Flour and water, kneading and fire, bread rising and cooling, the cycle of life continuing in gentle golden motion. The last traces of sunlight slip slowly behind distant hills, leaving the village bathed in twilight. Shadows stretch and melt together, softening the edges of thatched roofs and cobblestone streets. A delicate hush settles over the village, as if the day itself is exhaling, pulling its breath inward. The air grows cooler now, carrying a faint tang of dew forming on rooftops and the distant fields. You step outside for a moment, feeling the chill brush against your skin. The streets are empty, save for the occasional stray cat or the soft clatter of a cart returning home from distant lanes. The scent of bread still lingers in the bakery, rich and warm, mingling faintly with smoke from evening fires and the subtle earthiness of the fields beyond. It is a comforting aroma, holding the memory of the day, the seasons, and the labor that has carried you through it. Inside, the bakery glows softly in the fading light. The oven's warmth has cooled to gentle heat, but its essence remains in the walls, in the hearth, in the lingering aroma that wraps the room like a quiet embrace. Loaves rest on racks, golden brown and firm, their surfaces crackling faintly as they cool. You run your fingers over one loaf, feeling the gentle warmth and the texture of the crust beneath your fingertips. The village outside grows stiller. You can hear the distant lowing of cattle settling in their pens, the soft rustle of animals moving in their stalls, the whisper of leaves in a gentle evening breeze. The church bell tolls faintly, counting the passing hours, each sound a reminder of the cycle that carries the village from day into night. You sit on the wooden stool by the hearth, the warmth radiating softly against your back. The silence is profound yet alive. Every sound becomes a part of it. The faint crackle of embers, the subtle groan of timber settling as it cools, the occasional shift of flour-dusted boards beneath your fingers. Your breathing slows, syncing with the rhythm of the night, your senses attuned to the quiet life of the village as it slips into sleep. Your thoughts drift to the seasons, each one carrying its own memory of night. Winter nights long and deep, when the bakery's fire was the heart of the home, when the air outside bit sharply and the warmth of bread offered comfort to neighbors passing by, hands extended in quiet gratitude. Spring nights, scented faintly with dew and the first hints of blossoms, when loaves were lighter, fragrant with herbs, the air carrying the soft murmur of returning life. Summer nights heavy with warmth, the smell of grain drying in the fields blending with the scent of your bread, the faint buzz of insects in the gardens beyond. Autumn nights, deep and golden, the air rich with harvest, the loaves heavy and sustaining, carrying the promise of long months ahead. You break off a small piece of bread from a loaf cooling on the counter, letting its warmth fill your hands. The texture is firm yet yielding, the aroma a gentle reminder of the day's work. You taste it slowly, feeling the flavor settle on your tongue, earthy, slightly sweet, slightly tangy, alive with the memory of grain, fire, and careful hands. Outside, the moon rises faint at first, then steady and bright, casting a soft silver glow over the village. The cobblestones shimmer faintly beneath its light, the rooftops bathed in gentle reflection, the fields beyond glowing like pale silk in the distance. You watch it from the doorway, letting the stillness sink into every sense. The village sleeps beneath the moon's watchful gaze, each home wrapped in quiet warmth, each hearth breathing life into the night. A cool breeze drifts through the open door, carrying the scent of evening earth, faint herbs from drying bundles, and the lingering aroma of baked grain. It brushes against your skin, teasing a shiver, yet grounding you in the present moment. You take a deep breath, tasting the mingling scents of fire, flower, and night air. Each inhalation feels full, rich, and calming, connecting you to the rhythm of the village, the heartbeat of the land, and the continuity of life. Eyes drift over the loaves cooling on the racks. Each one carries the imprint of the day, the weight of labor, the promise of nourishment. You imagine the hands that will take them tomorrow morning, the tables where they will rest beside cheese, vegetables, and ale, the quiet gratitude of those who rely on your work. Even in the stillness of night, the loaves hold presence, warmth, and purpose. You move slowly through the bakery, brushing flour lightly from counters and boards, arranging the remaining dough for the night. The motions are deliberate, meditative, the rhythm of centuries preserved in your hands, in the turning of grains to flour, dough to bread. Each movement carries the weight of memory, your father kneading beside the hearth, his father before him, the soft murmur of firelight and the scent of grain filling small homes. Outside, a faint rustle of leaves marks the passage of a night breeze. Somewhere distant, an owl calls softly, its sound stretching across the village like a gentle echo. The animals breathe in their pens, the wind whispers through fields and gardens, and the night itself seems to hum quietly with life. You take another small piece of bread, savoring its texture and warmth. The flavor is simple yet profound, a concentration of hours, days, seasons, and care. You eat slowly, deliberately letting the warmth settle into your chest, grounding you in the rhythm of the world. The moon climbs higher, silvering the rooftops, tracing the edges of the square, illuminating the fields beyond. The shadows deepen, soft and rounded, blending with the faint glow of embers in distant hearths. The village sleeps, the streets quiet, the animals at rest, and yet the world hums gently beneath the surface, steady, enduring, alive. You close your eyes briefly, imagining the cycles yet to come. Dawn breaking over the square, morning bread rising once more, villagers stirring, seasonal harvests turning to loaves, the rhythm of care and labor unbroken. You feel the continuity of life in every fiber of your being, in every loaf, in every breath, in every gentle sound of the night. The hearth crackles faintly, the last embers glowing softly, warmth radiating into the room. You lean back on the stool, hands resting in your lap, letting the quiet settle around you. Every sound, every scent, every memory weaves together, the day completed, the night unfolding, the village alive in slumber. You imagine the seasons beyond tonight, winter snow brushing rooftops, spring dew on tender herbs, summer fields golden with grain, autumn harvest heavy in the baskets. Each season brings its own bread, its own scent, its own story. Each loaf carries the memory of your hands, the village's rhythm, the cycles of sun and moon, and the quiet heartbeat of life itself. The night deepens, a vast expanse above the village, speckled with stars faint and steady. You breathe slowly, deeply, the warmth of the bakery and the aroma of bread enveloping you. Your hands rest lightly on the table, fingertips brushing flour-dusted boards, feeling the gentle pulse of the day lingering in the grains, in the hearth, in the quiet air. And in this stillness, you sit patient, calm, attuned to the subtle rhythm of night. The village sleeps, the loaves rest, the seasons continue, and the quiet hum of life wraps around you, soft and enduring, as the world drifts toward dreams. The oven cools completely, the embers faint, and yet the memory of heat lingers in the air, mingling with the scent of bread and the gentle night wind. You close your eyes fully now, feeling the continuity of work, of care, of seasons, of life. The world outside rests, but its heartbeat carries on quietly beneath the stars. And as you sit, surrounded by warmth, aroma, and memory, you know that tomorrow will rise golden, fragrant, steady, just as today did, and as the days before it did, and as the days yet to come will. The night enfolds the village completely, soft and deep, carrying the world into quiet slumber, carrying the baker, the loaves, the hearth, the fields, the animals, the stories, all into the gentle embrace of timeless night. The golden hue of the late afternoon sunlight begins to fade, giving way to a softer, amber glow that drapes itself across the village square. The cobblestones, still warm from the sun's touch, cool slowly under the gentle caress of the evening air. Long shadows stretch across the lane, curling and folding over one another, as if the village itself was settling into a deep exhale. The bakery, alive all day with movement, warmth, and the scent of freshly baked loaves, now breathes in quiet reflection. The oven hums softly, a fadding pulse of heat radiating into the room, carrying with it the rich aroma of bread, golden rye, soft wheat, hearty barley, each loaf still holding the memory of hours spent kneading, folding, and shaping. Dust motes float lazily in the last shafts of sunlight, drifting over counters and boards, settling softly into the corners of the room. You, the baker, move deliberately through the space, brushing flour from your hands and arms, letting the dust settle with gentle motions that have become second nature. The racks of bread cool, yet their warmth still lingers in the air, mingling faintly with the subtle smokiness of the hearth. Your eyes linger over the loaves, each one different, each one shaped by care and attention. Some are round, cracked and golden, others long and slender, dusted lightly with flour, a few small buns shaped by careful fingers, soft and fragrant. Even as the village outside begins to slow, life continues in quiet rhythm. Children laugh softly as they chase one another toward home, their feet tapping over stone and earth. Women carry baskets filled with herbs, vegetables, or the fruits of their daily labor. The lowing of cattle drifts from the fields, mingling with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant clatter of a cart making its way back toward the edge of the village. The baker turns his attention to his own evening meal. A thick loaf of rye rests on the counter, golden and firm. You slice a generous piece, the crust breaking with a satisfying crack, releasing a small puff of warm steam. The texture is dense, the scent earthy and rich, a reminder of the day's work and the life of the grain from field to table. You smear a bit of soft cheese over the warm slice, feeling the way it melts slightly into the surface, a gentle contrast of textures and flavors. Beside the bread and cheese, small portions of roasted vegetables await, turnips, parsnips, and carrots, their surfaces caramelized in the residual heat of the evening fire. The aroma is deep and comforting, earthy and sweet, filling the small bakery space with the promise of nourishment. You take a slow bite, savoring the combination of flavors, letting warmth and satisfaction settle into your chest. Outside, the village hums softly with the rhythm of evening chores. The blacksmith's forge, quiet now, has cooled to a soft glow, leaving traces of smoke that drift lazily toward the sky. Chickens return to roost, clucking softly, while the cows shift in the pens, lying down as they settle into the night. Dogs curl themselves near doorways or in the corners of yards, their soft breathing blending with the subtle chorus of crickets and the whisper of wind through the trees. The baker moves slowly, deliberately to the hearth, checking the coals that remain. They glow faintly, their warmth radiating into the room, mingling with the lingering scent of bread and smoke. Another small loaf is broken, a piece of crust handed to a stray cat that has padded quietly into the room, its soft purr blending with the muted sounds of evening. You lean against the counter, eating slowly, deliberately, taking note of the changes in light as the sun sinks lower. The windows catch the last amber rays, reflecting them onto wooden beams and boards, the dust in the air turning to gold as it drifts in slow motion. The room feels suspended between day and night, alive with warmth and the lingering memory of the day's labor, yet quiet and contemplative, ready to transition into the calm of night. A small bowl of pottage sits nearby, a simple stew of root vegetables, grains, and a few preserved herbs. Cooked slowly over the fire, steam rises from it in delicate wisps, curling and mingling with the scent of bread. You take a spoonful, savoring the warmth and heartiness, the subtle blend of earthy and sweet flavors. Each bite is deliberate, grounding, a connection to the rhythm of the day, the work of your hands, and the life of the village beyond the bakery walls. Outside, the shadows lengthen. The village square is quieter now, the day's hustle replaced by a calm murmur of settling animals, distant footsteps returning home, and the occasional clink of a bucket or door closing softly. The air carries the faint tang of wood smoke, mingling with the scent of earth, hay, and the lingering aroma of freshly baked bread. You pause to reflect on the seasons, the subtle differences each brings to the evening meal. In spring, bread is lighter, infused occasionally with fresh herbs, thyme, nettle, dandelion leaves. Vegetables are young and tender, the air carrying the scent of blossoms and rain. Summer brings abundance, golden loaves, fruits preserved from distant orchards, vegetables roasted in warm ovens. Autumn loaves are heavier, filled with the richness of harvest grains, root vegetables, and the faint sweetness of stored fruits. Winter is dense and sustaining, bread rich with barley or rye, meant to fortify and nourish through the cold months. accompanied by hearty stews and preserved foods. The baker moves deliberately through his small space, preparing for the final moments of the evening. Another slice of bread is cut, small portions of cheese and roasted root vegetables arranged neatly beside it. Each motion is deliberate, meditative, a rhythm as old as the village itself. The oven, now quiet, radiates its last warmth into the room, blending with the faint aroma of herbs, bread, and the soft presence of the hearth. Outside, the sun has nearly vanished. The sky deepens into shades of indigo and violet, the first stars appearing faintly overhead. The village is quiet, each home bathed in a soft glow from flickering hearths within. The animals have settled, the streets are empty, and a gentle hush carries across rooftops and fields. A distant owl calls softly, its voice carrying across the sleeping village, a reminder of the world beyond, alive even as the village rests. The baker eats slowly, deliberately, allowing the flavors, warmth, and satisfaction of the meal to settle within him. Each bite is a connection to the work of the day, to the labor of ancestors, to the cycles of seasons, and to the quiet rhythm of the village. You pause frequently, listening to the faint chorus of settling life outside, the rustle of leaves, the soft breathing of animals, the distant drip of water, the whisper of wind. Time seems to stretch, the minutes elongating in the soft glow of twilight. You sip water from a clay jug, feeling the cool liquid settle in your chest, a gentle counterpoint to the warmth of the hearth and the meal. Your eyes drift over the racks of loaves cooling on the counters. Each one holds the story of the day, the careful shaping, the baking, the nurturing of grain into sustenance. The bread is more than food, it is memory, labor, and life itself, captured in golden crusts and soft, fragrant interiors. You rise slowly, brushing your hands lightly over flour-dusted counters and boards. The kitchen space is quiet, alive only with residual warmth and the subtle echo of the day's work. You place the remaining small portions of food aside for the night, leaving the bakery prepared for the calm of nightfall. Outside, darkness deepens. The moon rises faintly above the rooftops, silvering the streets and square, turning the cobblestones into ribbons of pale light. A soft breeze carries the scent of night air, the faint hint of dew forming on grasses and fields, and the lingering aroma of bread that will continue to linger through the evening. You pause at the doorway, letting the cool air brush against your skin. The village rests, yet it hums faintly, the heartbeat of life continuing quietly beneath the surface. Children sleep, elders rest, animals lie still, the faint sounds of nocturnal creatures drifting through the air. All around you, the village is alive in stillness, suspended between day and night. You return to the counter, taking a small, final piece of bread. The warmth has faded slightly, yet the aroma and texture remain comforting, a memory of the work of your hands and the rhythm of the day. You eat slowly, deliberately, letting each bite settle in your senses, grounding you, connecting you to the village, the seasons, the cycles of labor and care. And as the first stars glimmer faintly in the night sky, you sit quietly, hands resting in your lap, listening to the soft pulse of the village settling into evening. The hearth glows faintly, the aroma of bread lingering, the memory of warmth, labor, and sustenance filling the space. The evening is slow, deliberate, reflective, alive with quiet movement and life. The day's work has ended, the meal has been savored, and the village prepares gently for night. You close your eyes briefly, letting the warmth, scent, and memory settle over you. Outside, the village sleeps. Inside, the bakery rests, and the rhythm of life, steady, patient, enduring, continues in the silence and glow of evening. The last traces of sunlight have faded behind the distant hills, leaving the village bathed in a soft, lingering twilight. The air grows cooler, carrying a delicate tang of evening dew forming on the rooftops, the fields, and the stone-paved streets. Shadows stretch and blend across the lanes, folding themselves gently over thatched roofs and wooden doors, as if the village itself were drawing a long, slow breath before sinking into night. You step outside your bakery for a brief moment, letting the cool air brush against your skin. The cobblestones underfoot are slightly damp, retaining the warmth of the day in a gentle, muted echo. Faint scents drift from nearby homes, smoke from wood fires, herbs drying by the windows, the faint sweetness of fruit simmering in pots. The village is quiet now, the daytime bustle having faded to a soft hum. The occasional clatter of a bucket, the distant murmur of an animal, or the shuffle of feet returning home punctuates the silence, grounding the world in subtle rhythm. The bakery itself is calm, a sanctuary from the slow movement of evening chores. The oven, now quiet, still radiates gentle warmth into the room, mingling with the lingering aroma of freshly baked bread. The racks are lined with loaves cooling slowly, their surfaces golden brown, firm, and slightly crackling as they settle into the calm of night. Dust motes drift lazily in the dim light filtering through the window, floating in slow arcs, settling softly over counters, boards, and the faint traces of flour left from the day's labor. Your hands move deliberately as you prepare the bakery for the night. Flour is brushed lightly from counters and boards, remaining dough shaped and set aside for tomorrow's morning bake. Each motion is slow and deliberate, a meditation in itself, a rhythm that has been carried across generations. The shaping of dough, the tending of fire, the preparation of tools. The bakery is alive with quiet memory, each surface, each smell, each residual warmth, a reminder of labor, care, and the continuity of life in this small village. Outside, the streets begin to empty. Children's laughter has faded, replaced by the soft shuffle of feet and the occasional low murmur of conversation as neighbors return to their homes. Chickens cluck softly as they settle into roosts, ducks paddle quietly in small ponds, and the cattle shift in their pens, lying down as they settle into the calm of night. Dogs curl near doorways or hearths, their soft breathing blending with the subtle chorus of crickets and the whisper of the wind through the trees. The world outside the bakery has slowed, yet life continues in its quiet, measured rhythm. You move to the hearth, its glow now faint, embers settling softly in the firebox. You lean slightly, feeling the residual warmth against your back, and take a deep breath. The air is filled with the faint scent of smoke, mingling with the aroma of bread and the soft earthiness of the room. Each inhalation is grounding, connecting you to the rhythm of the village, the life of your hands, and the cycles of day and night that have carried generations before you. A small meal remains from earlier, a slice of rye bread, a few pieces of cheese, and some roasted root vegetables. You eat slowly, deliberately, letting the flavors linger on your tongue. The warmth of the food settles in your chest, a quiet comfort as the evening stretches onward. Each bite reminds you of the seasons, the tender freshness of spring vegetables, the sweet richness of summer harvests, the hearty earthiness of autumn roots, the sustaining density of winter grains. The meal is simple, yet it nourishes not only the body but the mind and spirit, a pause before the transition into night. As you finish, the village continues its slow exhale. Smoke curls from chimneys, drifting into the sky and mingling faintly with the first stars appearing above. Windows glow softly with lamplight or the last flickers of hearths, illuminating interiors with warmth that contrasts the cool night air outside. You move slowly through the streets, taking note of small details. A neighbor gathering the last herbs of the season, the soft rustle of straw as animals settle, the careful closing of shutters, the gentle tug of a curtain as a window is drawn tight. Each motion is part of the ritual of evening, a quiet choreography carried across centuries. Returning to your bakery, you check once more on the loaves cooling on the racks. Each one holds the memory of the day's work, the kneading, the shaping, the rising, the baking. They are more than sustenance. They are a record of care, of attention, of labor transformed into life-giving form. You press a fingertip gently into a loaf, feeling the residual warmth and the subtle elasticity of the crumb beneath the crust. It is a tactile connection to the rhythm of the day, a reminder that even in stillness, life continues in the quiet pulse of the bakery. Outside, the moon rises slowly, silvering rooftops and fields alike. Its pale light mingles with the glow of remaining fires, casting long, gentle shadows across the village. The air is cool now, carrying a faint scent of dew on grass, the soft tang of earth, and the residual warmth of baked bread. The village is hushed, yet alive with faint sounds, the rustling of leaves, the distant clatter of a wooden bucket, the low murmur of animals, and the occasional call of an owl from the nearby woods. You move to tidy the bakery further, brushing flour from the boards, stacking small baskets, arranging the remaining tools neatly. Each action is deliberate, meditative. The rhythm of preparation mirrors the quiet cadence of life in the village, tending, arranging, preserving, ensuring that the world is ready for the night and the promise of a new day. A faint wind drifts through the open door, brushing against your skin and carrying with it the sense of night, earth, dew, wood smoke, and the faint sweetness of lingering grains. You close the door gently, leaving the bakery sealed in quiet warmth, a sanctuary from the cool evening outside. The loaves rest on the racks, the hearth fades to embers, and the room becomes a capsule of calm, the slow heartbeat of labor and care echoing softly in every corner. The village now moves fully into night. Doors close quietly, animals settle into their pens, and windows glow faintly as lamps are extinguished or dimmed. The streets are empty, but the faint pulse of life continues beneath the surface. The shifting of straw in beds, the soft breathing of sleepers, the distant hum of nocturnal creatures. The world is alive in stillness, and you are at the center of this gentle, measured rhythm. You take a moment to reflect on the seasons and how nightfall feels different in each. Spring evenings carry the scent of fresh growth, the gentle warmth of returning sun, and the quiet hope of life beginning anew. Summer nights are heavy and fragrant, the air thick with the scent of ripening crops, herbs, and flowers. Autumn evenings are golden and crisp, rich with the memory of harvest and preparation for colder months. Winter nights are deep and quiet, carrying the scent of wood smoke, preserved foods, and the faint chill of air that seeps through small cracks in doors and windows. Each season shapes the night, giving it texture, depth, and memory. In the bakery, you move once more to the hearth, observing the embers fading softly. You feel the heat still radiating, a gentle, steady warmth that anchors you to the space. Your hands brush lightly over the remaining dough, feeling its coolness after rising, imagining the loaves it will become tomorrow. Each touch is a connection to continuity, to care, to the subtle pulse of time flowing through your hands, your home, and the village itself. The first stars begin to pierce the deepening sky, faint points of light that shimmer against the velvety darkness. You watch them slowly, letting the tranquility sink into your body and mind. The village rests, yet life continues subtly. Animals shift, the wind carries faint whispers through leaves and thatch, and the earth itself seems to breathe softly beneath the moon's pale gaze. You take a slow, deliberate breath, savoring the warmth of the bakery, the lingering aroma of bread, and the quiet pulse of life around you. Your eyes drift to the window, where the faint glow of hearths and lanterns illuminates sleeping homes. Each light tells a story of care, of family, of preparation, of rhythm, the unspoken choreography of a medieval village transitioning into night. The night deepens further, the moon climbing higher, casting silvered light over the rooftops, streets, and fields. You move to tidy the final surfaces, ensuring everything is in place, the bakery ready to rest alongside the village. Each motion is slow, deliberate, meditative. Even in stillness, life persists in texture, warmth, scent, and memory. You sit once more, hands resting lightly in your lap, tasting the faint, lingering warmth of the meal and the bread. Your eyes close briefly, and the rhythm of the village settles over you. The breathing of animals, the subtle creak of timber, the whisper of wind through trees, the faint movement of night insects, the distant call of owls. Every sound, every scent, every gentle motion is part of the slow heartbeat of night. And as the village sinks fully into darkness, you feel the continuity of life. The day complete, the night unfolding, the cycles of work and rest, bread and hearth, care and season, all threading gently through time. The bakery glows faintly with residual warmth. The loaves rest quietly, the world outside breathes softly in the cool air, and you, the baker, remain a quiet witness to it all, patient, calm, alive with the slow rhythm of medieval life as night embraces the village completely. The evening has settled fully over the village, and a quiet stillness lingers in the air. Outside, the last of the sunlight has faded into a soft, deep indigo, the sky dotted with faint stars, each one twinkling like a distant memory. A gentle breeze flows across the cobblestones, carrying the faint scent of dew on grass and the earthy aroma of the soil that has absorbed the day's heat. The village hums softly in its retreat. Doors are closed, animals are resting in pens, and the streets are empty, except for the occasional distant sound of a dog stirring or the clatter of a bucket returning to its place. You, the baker, take your final steps through the bakery, your movements deliberate, unhurried. The oven has cooled completely, leaving only a faint residual warmth that radiates into the room, mingling with the lingering scent of freshly baked bread. Loaves rest on racks, golden brown, crisp at the edges, and soft within, holding the memory of hours spent kneading, shaping, and tending to the fire. The dust of flour floats lazily in the fading light, settling over counters, boards, and the backs of baskets, a quiet testament to the day's labor. A small table at the corner of the room holds what remains of the evening meal, a slice of dense rye bread, soft cheese, and a few roasted root vegetables. You eat slowly, deliberately, savoring each bite. The bread is earthy, slightly sweet, its flavor rich with the grains that were milled, kneaded, and baked with care. The cheese melts gently against the crust. The roasted vegetables carry the deep sweetness of the earth, and the warmth of the small meal settles into your chest. Each bite is grounding, a connection to the rhythm of the day, the work of your hands, and the life of the village beyond your walls. After the meal, you rise and move to tidy the space. Flour is brushed lightly from boards and counters, dough is shaped and set aside for the morning bake, and tools are cleaned and hung in their proper places. The motions are repetitive, deliberate, almost meditative. Each action echoes centuries of rhythm, hands shaping dough, tending fire, preparing for the cycle to continue. The bakery is alive with quiet memory, every surface holding traces of care and attention, every smell a reminder of life transformed from grain into sustenance. The streets outside are now fully dark, the moon rising slowly over thatched rooftops, silvering the village square in cobblestones. A soft hush has fallen, interrupted only by the faint sounds of nocturnal life. Owls calling softly from the nearby woods, the rustle of animals settling, the whisper of wind through the trees. The air is cool, carrying with it the faint scent of night flowers and dew-laden grass. You pause at the doorway for a moment, letting the freshness brush your face, listening to the subtle pulse of life continuing quietly beneath the surface. The baker's home, a small chamber above or behind the bakery, awaits. You climb the wooden stairs slowly, each step creaking faintly beneath your weight. The space is modest but warm, prepared carefully for the night. A small fire in the hearth has been left to smolder, the embers casting a soft, flickering glow across the walls. A straw mattress lies in the corner, covered with a worn woolen blanket, layered with a soft fur for additional warmth. The room smells faintly of smoke, bread, and the lingering aroma of herbs drying nearby. You sit for a moment at the edge of the mattress, removing your work apron and brushing flour from your sleeves. The act feels ceremonial, a way of closing the day and transitioning into rest. Your hands move slowly over the blanket and fur, smoothing the surface, arranging the space just so, ensuring that everything is in place for the night. You pour a small cup of water from a clay jug and sip slowly, feeling the cool liquid settle into your chest, a gentle counterpoint to the warmth lingering from your meal and the fire. The candle on the small table is lit carefully, its soft light casting delicate shadows across the room. The flame dances gently, illuminating the wooden beams and rough plaster walls, reflecting off the polished surfaces of tools left neatly at rest. The shadows flicker and sway, merging with the quiet rhythm of the room, blending the present with memory, with time, with the invisible pulse of life that has moved through the village all day. You lie down on the mattress, the straw firm but yielding beneath your weight. The wool blanket and fur provide warmth and comfort, enveloping you in a cocoon of safety and calm. The faint crackle of the dying embers reaches your ears, mingling with distant village sounds. A dog's soft whine, the clatter of a cart returning home, the low rustle of animals in their pens. The air carries a gentle chill, brushing against the warmth of the blankets, a soft reminder of the season, the time, and the enduring rhythm of life beyond your small chamber. Your mind drifts, reflecting on the day's work. The kneading of dough, the shaping of loaves, the tending of the fire, each act deliberate, careful, and full of quiet intention. You think of the villagers who will eat your bread tomorrow, of children reaching eagerly for the first slice, of families gathered around hearths, savoring the simple sustenance you have provided. Each loaf carries not just nourishment, but memory, labor, and care. Each one is a testament to the continuity of life in this small medieval village. The moonlight filters softly through the window, brushing the walls, the mattress, and the floor in pale silver. Dust motes float lazily in the air, catching the light and drifting in slow arcs, settling gently on surfaces as if the room itself were exhaling after the day's exertion. The rhythm of your breathing slows, matching the slow pulse of life in the village outside. Each inhale carries the faint scent of straw, wood smoke, and residual bread, grounding you in the present moment. Outside, the village moves quietly toward complete stillness. Peasants have finished their chores, tending animals and closing shutters. Craftsmen have secured their tools, folded cloth, or wiped down wooden benches. Merchants have locked their stalls, counted coins, and ensured that goods are safely stored for the night. The wealthy in larger homes have extinguished lamps or left small candles flickering for comfort, while guards patrol the streets, keeping watch. The village sleeps in layers, each home and each family wrapped in its own quiet ritual, the air heavy with the sense of hearth, food, and night. In your chamber, the warmth of the blankets and fur presses gently against your skin. You adjust slightly, tucking one arm beneath your head, pulling the blanket snug around your shoulders. The faint glow of the candle on the table reflects in your eyes before you close them, casting shadows that dance across the room in soft, hypnotic motion. You hear the subtle creak of timber as the house settles, the soft exhale of the wind brushing against the walls, the distant lowing of animals resting. All these sounds form a lullaby, the quiet music of the village sleeping. Thoughts drift to the seasons, each carrying a unique flavor of night. Spring nights are filled with freshness, the scent of new growth and damp earth after rains, the gentle hum of insects beginning to stir. Summer nights are heavy with warmth and fragrance, the sweetness of ripening fruit and herbs lingering in the air, the subtle rustle of leaves in warm wind. Autumn nights are crisp, carrying the scent of harvested grains, dried herbs, and wood smoke, the air tinged with the anticipation of winter. Winter nights are deep and cold. The faint smell of snow and frost outside, the warmth of hearth and furs inside, the soft rhythm of breath and the quiet stillness that stretches long into darkness. The candle flickers, its light bending and stretching across the walls, mingling with the soft glow of the dying embers in the hearth. You feel the gentle weight of fatigue in your body, the culmination of hours of labor, the exertion of kneading dough, tending fires, and moving through the village in service and care. The warmth of the blankets presses softly, the faint scent of straw and fur envelops you, the distant night sounds wrap around the room like a gentle blanket. Your eyes close fully, and your mind drifts towards sleep. The rhythm of breathing, slow and steady, matches the pulse of the village outside. Each sound, each scent, each flicker of light forms a gentle pattern, a lullaby of stone, wood, and earth. The loaves of bread rest quietly, holding the memory of the day. The animals lie still, the wind whispers softly, and the village is cradled in calm. And in this quiet cocoon, the baker sleeps. The body finally stills, the mind drifts, and the night embraces him gently, carrying him into dreams and rest. Outside, the village rests too, streets empty, animals settled, the faint moonlight illuminating rooftops and fields, the stars blinking softly in the deep indigo sky. Time seems suspended, yet steady, flowing quietly through the night, through the village, through the hearts and homes of all who live within it. The warmth of the bakery, the lingering scent of bread, the soft rustle of blankets and fur, the faint glow of candlelight, and the deep hush of night blend together into a slow, continuous rhythm. The baker is at peace, immersed in the quiet heartbeat of medieval life, secure, rested, and attuned to the gentle pulse of the village sleeping beneath the moon. And so the night moves on. Slow, steady, timeless, each moment carrying the memory of the day and the promise of the next. The baker sleeps, the village sleeps, and the quiet world of hearth, home, and life continues, suspended in the calm embrace of night. Night has fully claimed the village. The sky is deep indigo, scattered with faint, twinkling stars, and the crescent moon hangs low, silvering the rooftops and cobblestones below. A gentle breeze carries the faint scent of dew, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil and wood smoke. Shadows stretch across the lanes, folding over walls, fences, and the soft roofs of thatched cottages. The village, once alive with the sounds of labor and laughter, has exhaled and settled into a slow, deep rhythm of calm. You move through the quiet streets, observing how life has transitioned from the energy of day into the hushed tranquility of night. The lowing of cattle in pens drifts softly across yards, while chickens cluck quietly in roosts, settling for the evening. Dogs curl in corners of doorways or near hearths, their bodies warm and breathing steady. Horses in stalls shift slightly on straw bedding, the occasional snort or shuffle blending into the overall hush, even the occasional distant crowing of a night bird adds a subtle texture, a reminder that life continues quietly beyond the visible. Inside the small cottages of peasants, the day's work has come to its close. Hands, worn and calloused from tilling fields, tending animals, and gathering wood, now rest briefly at the table. Simple meals are prepared for those who remain awake a little longer. A slice of bread, a small portion of cheese, perhaps a bowl of pottage, rich with roots and grains. Smoke from the hearth curls lazily toward the low ceiling, carrying the earthy, warming scent of cooked vegetables and roasted meat, mingling with the faint aroma of recently baked bread. Each home hums with its own quiet energy, the subtle rhythm of people winding down after a long day. In one small cottage, children stretch out on simple straw mattresses, their blankets coarse but comforting, sometimes layered with furs for warmth. Parents sit nearby, hands busy with small chores, mending garments, arranging firewood, or brushing dust from counters. The flicker of a small lamp or candle illuminates their faces in soft amber light, creating long, slow shadows that stretch across walls, lending a gentle sense of depth and intimacy to the scene. Occasionally, the faint voice of a mother or father hums a quiet tune, a lullaby that weaves into the stillness of night. Outside, the village paths are almost deserted. Those returning from late chores, fetching water, tending animals, securing tools move silently, careful to disturb neither people nor animals. Wooden shutters are drawn, doors secured with simple latches, and fires in hearths burn low, casting a gentle glow through windows and doorways. The quiet is punctuated only by the occasional rustle of leaves, the soft drip of water from eaves, or the distant call of a night bird. Peasants' evening routines are subtle, focused on comfort and preparation. Buckets are hung, tools set in their proper places, animal pens checked one last time. The tactile rhythm of movement, stacking wood, smoothing straw, covering grain stores, is deliberate and meditative. Each gesture carries centuries of practice, passed down from parents to children, ensuring safety, warmth, and readiness for the coming day. The slow cadence of these chores blends seamlessly with the night, turning labor into a quiet ritual. Meals are simple but nourishing. A small bowl of pottage, rich with roots and grains, warms hands and chest alike. Pieces of dense bread, sometimes dipped in the broth, provide texture and sustenance. Small portions of cheese, salted and firm, add a subtle richness. For some families, a bit of preserved fruit or honey provides sweetness, a seasonal treat. The act of eating is deliberate, mindful, a final grounding before sleep. The aromas, earthy, smoky, and subtly sweet, fill the air, wrapping the home in warmth. Children drift into sleep on mattresses of straw, blankets tucked carefully around them, furs layered for warmth during colder months. The faint sighs and movements of slumber blend with the soft rustle of animals in their pens and the occasional whisper of wind through thatched roofs. The homes exude quiet comfort, hearths glowing faintly, shadows dancing across walls, each flicker a soft heartbeat marking the passage of night. Outside the cottages, gardens and yards grow still. Tools rest against fences, water troughs settle with gentle ripples, and wind moves softly through trees and herbs. Seasonal differences shape the sensory world. Spring nights carry freshness, damp earth, and faint floral notes. Summer nights are warm and fragrant with ripening vegetables and herbs. Autumn brings crisp air and the scent of harvested roots. Winter nights carry the subtle chill of frost and the faint smoke of fires burning longer for warmth. Each season adds texture to the night, giving depth to the quiet rhythm of the village. Some villagers linger near the hearth for a few moments longer, reflecting, washing their hands, or preparing small comforts for the morning. The act of setting bowls, pots, and utensils in their places is gentle and rhythmic, a meditation in movement. Even the faint brushing of dirt from floors or the rearrangement of straw in animal pens becomes a ritual, a quiet rhythm that echoes through the night. The sounds of village night are subtle and layered. A dog shifts on a doorstep. A cow settles more firmly into its bedding. Chickens rustle softly. The wind whispers through trees and reeds. The faint dripping of water echoes off stone walls. Each sound is part of a larger chorus, a symphony of quiet life, carefully observed by those awake and gently noticed by those resting. The village breathes slowly, inhaling and exhaling in harmony with the night sky above. For the peasants, the transition to sleep is gradual. Hands, feet, and bodies weary from labor find their places on straw beds, blankets, and furs. The small children are tucked in, their breathing slowing, their bodies softening into stillness. The hearth burns low, providing warmth and faint light, while the smell of cooked vegetables, bread, and wood smoke lingers in the air. Every detail of the room, from the texture of blankets to the placement of tools, contributes to a sense of safety and calm. Even the act of breathing becomes meditative, aligning with the rhythm of the village. The villagers' chests rise and fall in gentle cadence, a shared heartbeat echoing through cottages and fields alike. The faint, intermittent sounds of animals, a snort, a shuffle, a sigh, punctuate the quiet, grounding the night in the tangible reality of life. Each breath, each sound, Each subtle movement forms a pattern, weaving together the fabric of village night. The moon continues its slow ascent, silvering rooftops, paths, and open fields. Shadows stretch and blend with the flickering glow of hearths and candles. The faint scent of dew rises from grasses, mingling with the earthy aromas of homes and animals. The village rests in layers, the youngest sleeping, elders reclining on beds or benches, animals settled in pens, and those tending to late chores moving in quiet ritual. Each layer forms a subtle symphony of night, harmonious and continuous. The peasant's world is simple, yet rich in texture. Each home carries the memory of labor and care. Baskets of vegetables, bundles of herbs, tools cleaned and set aside, fires tending themselves into embers. Each element is part of a larger rhythm, a quiet choreography passed down through generations. The night's stillness is not empty, but alive, filled with textures, scents, sounds, and the invisible pulse of living beings resting and preparing for another day. Outside, the village square grows darker, the shadows merging into a single gentle mass. Fences, walls, and rooftops disappear into the soft obscurity of night. The occasional flick of a candle or hearth glimmer illuminates small patches of space, offering comfort and guidance. Paths are empty, fields still, and the quiet is profound, yet not silent. The wind whispers through trees and reeds, animals stir faintly in pens, and distant owls call to one another, echoing across the sleeping village. In this slow, deliberate rhythm, peasants find rest. Their bodies, tired from labor, sink into straw mattresses, their minds, shaped by the cycles of work and care, drift into quiet reflection and slumber. Every breath, every sound, every flicker of candlelight or ember contributes to a sense of continuity and calm. The village is alive in stillness, suspended in the gentle embrace of night, carrying the memory of the day and the promise of tomorrow. And so, as the stars twinkle above and the crescent moon rises higher, the peasants sleep. Their cottages glow faintly with warmth, their hearths whisper softly, and the village, layer by layer, breathes in unity with the night. The rhythm of life, measured, patient, and enduring, continues in the subtle pulse of small homes, straw beds, and the quiet chorus of animals. The night is long, slow, and gentle, carrying the village into dreams, rest, and renewal. The village at night is layered, each home and shop steeped in its own rhythm, a delicate choreography of labor, care, and rest. While peasants and common folk have settled into the calm of evening, the artisans and craftsmen are finishing their day, attending to the final tasks that mark the transition from labor to rest. The streets are quiet, but not empty. The gentle flicker of lanterns reflects against shuttered windows, casting soft, trembling shadows that stretch and bend over cobblestones, blending with the deeper darkness beyond. Inside a blacksmith's forge, the last coals of the fire glow faintly, their orange light reflecting on iron tools and the smooth wooden surfaces of benches. Hammers are wiped clean, tongs and chisels set carefully in their places. The faint smell of smoke and molten metal lingers in the air, carrying the memory of the day's labor, horseshoes shaped, nails forged, tools repaired. The blacksmith moves slowly, deliberately brushing soot from the hearth and checking that all embers are safely covered. Outside the door, the cool night air drifts in, carrying a gentle freshness that contrasts with the warmth of the forge. Nearby, the weaver's cottage is quiet, though the loom sits ready for tomorrow. Threads of dyed wool and flax are rolled neatly into baskets, and scraps of cloth are folded and stacked on shelves. Hands, stained lightly from dye and fibers, brush dust from tables and floors. The faint scent of oils used to maintain wooden frames mingles with the earthy aroma of fibers. A single candle flickers on a table, illuminating small sketches of patterns and designs, the careful attention of the artisan evident in each line. Tailors work slowly at desks, finishing final stitches or folding garments neatly. Scissors, pins, and spools of thread are arranged carefully, each in its proper place. Fabric scraps are swept into baskets, and the faint sound of shears cutting through cloth echoes softly in the room. Air carries a faint mixture of oils, linen, wool, and wax from candles, a sensory tapestry marking the close of the day's labor. Merchants prepare their stalls and homes for night. Wooden shutters are lowered, goods stored carefully in locked chests, and coins counted and tucked away. The faint scent of herbs, spices, dried fruits, and grains lingers in small shops. Light flickers through windows, illuminating jars and baskets, casting soft, golden patterns on the walls and floors. The careful attention to detail, arranging, securing, storing, is part of the evening ritual, a final act of care that ensures the continuation of trade and livelihood the next day. The rhythm of evening chores is slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial. Every motion carries the weight of practice and tradition, stacking tools, smoothing cloth, locking doors, brushing floors, covering fire pits. Each act is performed with mindfulness, a reflection of the value placed on craft, precision, and preservation. The artisans and merchants are aware of the passing day, the culmination of labor, and the preparation for rest. Their evening is not rushed. Each gesture is measured, echoing centuries of habit and skill. Meals are modest, but hearty, often shared with family or apprentices. A stew of root vegetables, grains, and occasional meat simmers gently on a small hearth. Bread, freshly baked or from earlier in the day, is sliced and shared, its aroma mingling with the richer sense of cooking herbs and roasted vegetables. Small cups of water or weak ale accompany the meal, the warmth and nourishment grounding each individual before the night fully settles. Eating is deliberate, mindful, a quiet ritual marking the passage from labor to reflection. Children and apprentices settle into simple sleeping areas within workshops or homes. Straw mattresses, wool blankets, and furs are arranged carefully, providing comfort and warmth. The faint sounds of nighttime life, the shuffle of animals in nearby pens, the distant hum of the village, the soft rustle of leaves, create a gentle lullaby that guides young and old alike into rest. Adults continue final tasks until the hearth burns low, the workshop quiet, and the senses attuned to the soft rhythms of night. Windows and doors are secured carefully. The faint clink of locks and latches echoes softly, each sound a signal that the home, the workshop, and the livelihood are safe. Candles are extinguished or left burning in small holders, casting a gentle, steady glow that illuminates spaces just enough for safety without disturbing the sleep of the household. The faint scent of smoke, warm food, and oils lingers, wrapping each room in a sense of security and calm. Outside, the village streets are now a mosaic of shadows and fire. The occasional lantern glows through a shuttered window, a distant cat pads silently across rooftops, and the wind whispers softly through trees and reeds. The night is alive with subtle movement, animals stirring briefly, a dog scratching and shifting, the faint clatter of a cart making its last deliveries, the distant call of an owl or night bird. Each sound, faint and layered, creates a symphony of calm activity, observed by those still awake and gently noticed by those at rest. The artisans reflect on the day's work as they prepare for sleep. The blacksmith feels the warmth of hands shaped by labor, the loom worker notices the precision of patterns completed, the tailor observes garments finished with care. Each individual experiences a quiet satisfaction, a sense of contribution, a recognition of the continuity of life through craft. Their rest will come gently, each breath aligning with the rhythm of the village, each heartbeat a quiet echo of labor transformed into sustenance, utility, and beauty. The moon climbs higher, silvering the rooftops, streets, and yards. Shadows stretch across workshops and homes, merging with the faint glow of candlelight inside. Outside, the wind carries the scent of dew, damp soil, and herbs, blending with the warmth and aromas inside homes and workshops. The village rests in layers, the peasants, the craftsmen, the merchants, and their families all moving into the calm embrace of night. Each layer contributes to a slow, continuous pulse, steady and unbroken, flowing through the community like a quiet, invisible river. As sleep approaches, hands cease movement, hearts slow, and the gentle hush of night envelops every home. Children breathe steadily, animals settle fully, and adults lie down on straw mattresses, wool blankets, and furs. The faint, rhythmic crackle of dying hearths, the soft sigh of wind through thatch, and the occasional distant sound of night creatures create a lullaby of life, subtle yet omnipresent. In these quiet moments, the artisans and merchants feel the weight of the day settle into memory, the anticipation of tomorrow blending seamlessly with the calm of tonight. They breathe deeply, savoring the warmth, the faint scent of food, smoke, and wood, and the knowledge that their labor has contributed to the rhythm and sustenance of the village. The night stretches long and slow, carrying them gently into rest, into dreams, into the soft, enduring heartbeat of medieval life. As the village settles into a quiet rhythm beneath the moonlit sky, the larger houses and estates of the nobility begin to take on their own distinct cadence of evening life. While the streets outside are hushed, the interiors of these homes carry a warm glow, rich aromas, and a sense of deliberate comfort. These are spaces layered with care and preparation, designed to ensure security, warmth, and ease for those who inhabit them. The grand wooden doors of an estate close with careful precision, heavy latches and iron fittings clicking softly in the quiet night. Servants move through halls, their steps quiet but purposeful, attending to tasks with practiced hands. Fires in large hearths are tended and stoked to provide gentle warmth through the chambers. Candles are lit in sconces along corridors, their flickering flames reflecting off polished wood and stone, casting soft, dancing shadows that stretch across walls and ceilings. In the main hall, a simple but satisfying evening meal has been prepared. Roasted meats, root vegetables, coarse breads, and cheeses, accompanied by small bowls of fruits preserved in honey or dried herbs. The aromas are richer, more layered than in the homes of peasants or artisans, blending the sense of roasting, baking, and preservation. The table is set with care, wooden plates arranged neatly, small cups for water or mild ale, each item reflecting both utility and attention to detail. Servants move silently, clearing dishes, sweeping floors, and ensuring the hearths maintain a steady glow. The noble family retreats to more private spaces, studies, chambers, or sitting rooms where faint music might play from a small lute or soft humming. The interiors are rich with textures, tapestries lining walls, polished wooden floors, thick curtains drawn against the chill, and beds layered with wool, linen, and furs. Every detail, from the warmth of the room to the placement of blankets and pillows, is deliberate, ensuring comfort and safety. The soundscape here is subtly different from the village streets, where peasants' cottages carry the low murmur of families settling and workshops echo with the last whispers of labor. Noble estates hum with gentle warmth. The crackle of firewood, the soft clinking of cups, the muted steps of attendants, and the occasional low murmur of conversation or reflection. Outside, guards move along perimeter walls and gates, their presence both protective and discreet, their rhythmic footsteps a steady reassurance of security. As the evening progresses, activities wind down in measured order. Letters might be read by candlelight, garments are carefully folded or laid aside, and the final preparations for rest are made. The air carries a faint mixture of smoke from the hearth, the subtle fragrance of herbs used for comfort or preservation, and the lingering aroma of meals enjoyed in quiet contentment. The contrast with the lower classes is evident not in the silence, but in the richness, order, and deliberate care of each motion and detail. Beds in noble chambers are larger, more layered, and more inviting than the straw mattresses of peasants. Thick mattresses, feather-stuffed or layered with straw, are covered with soft linens and heavy wool blankets, often topped with furs. Pillows are plump, supporting the head and neck in comfort. Candles are placed safely to provide soft illumination, and curtains may be drawn for privacy and warmth. The air is still, the warmth of the room lingering long after the fire has begun to fade. The senses are attuned to subtle variations, the faint creak of wooden beams settling, the distant rustle of leaves or wind brushing against the estate walls, the occasional soft snore of a guard resting in an outer chamber. Every detail is observed in quiet awareness, each movement slow, deliberate, and carefully balanced against the calm of night. Sleep is approached with ceremony, hands brushing over linens, furs arranged for warmth, blankets tucked snugly, and bodies finally allowed to rest fully against comfort and security. Outside the estate, the village lies in layered quiet. Peasants and artisans sleep in straw-filled homes, streets empty except for guards, animals settled in pens, and the occasional flicker of a candle in a window. The moon climbs higher, silvering rooftops, fields, and gardens, highlighting the textures of thatch, stone, and wooden fences. Shadows blend and lengthen, moving with the contours of the land. Wrapping each home in a gentle cocoon of night, the nobility's world at night is intimate, deliberate, and calm. Firelight casts a soft glow across polished furniture, tapestries, and walls adorned with carvings. A faint hum of wind and the distant chorus of nocturnal creatures mixes with the subtle crackle of embers. Meals have been digested, final chores completed, and the house is fully prepared for rest. Even the servants retreat quietly, ensuring that the estate moves into night as smoothly and peacefully as the villagers' homes, though with a richer layering of comfort, security, and ritual. Beds creak faintly as bodies shift into position, blankets tucked, furs adjusted, and the final moments of wakefulness pass gently. Thoughts linger on the day's events, Harvests tended, animals cared for, meals prepared, chores completed, and the subtle accomplishments of life managed with skill and foresight. The mind slows in rhythm with the body, each breath deepening, aligning with the pulse of life within the estate and the broader village beyond. Outside, the stars twinkle faintly, the wind brushes softly through trees, and distant owls call across fields and gardens. The air carries the scent of dew, faint herbs, and the earth cooling from the day's warmth. The contrast between the bustling day and the hushed night is pronounced. All labor has ceased, all movement slows, and the night's calm envelopes every layer of village life. As the noble family finally rests, guards continue their steady patrols along walls and gates, their presence unobtrusive yet constant. Dogs lie in corners, alert to subtle sounds yet still, and the faint stirrings of the last nocturnal creatures pass unnoticed by those already asleep. The estate breathes with quiet rhythm, every floorboard, door, and wall part of a larger network of life, care, and watchfulness. Sleep arrives slowly, gently, and fully. The warmth of furs and blankets, the lingering scent of herbs and food, and the steady heartbeat of the household all contribute to a sense of safety and calm. The mind drifts, unburdened, and the body sinks fully into the layered comfort of the bed. Outside, the village sleeps as well. Cottages dark, hearths low, animals settled, and streets silent except for distant rustles of wind or the occasional movement of guards. The estate, like the village, moves into the slow, enduring rhythm of night. Each breath, each faint sound, each flick of candlelight contributes to a layered, continuous pulse. Life continues quietly, invisibly, beneath the stars, carrying the memory of the day and the promise of tomorrow. The nobility, the villagers, the artisans, and the guards are all part of a shared, measured heartbeat, a harmony of rest, care, and continuity stretching across rooftops, fields, and cobblestones alike. And so the village in all its layers rests. The peasants, artisans, merchants, and nobility all sink into sleep, each cocooned in warmth, comfort, and the subtle rhythm of medieval night. The moon rises higher, the stars twinkle faintly, and the cool, scented air moves slowly across rooftops and fields. Life continues in stillness, each moment echoing the labor, care, and memory of the day, and carrying the village gently into dreams, renewal, and the quiet promise of dawn. The village's hush fades in memory as the city comes into view, its streets alive with movement, scent, and sound even as the night deepens. Lanterns hang from doorways, casting pools of golden light on cobblestone streets slicked with the faint moisture of evening dew. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys, carrying the aroma of fires used to prepare late meals, bake bread, and warm homes. Here, life rarely sleeps. The rhythm of work, trade, and leisure stretches into the night, echoing along narrow alleys and broad thoroughfares alike. Taverns are alive with human energy. Doors swing open and closed, spilling warm light onto streets and alleys. From within comes the low murmur of conversation, the laughter of patrons, the occasional clink of mugs, and the subtle thrum of a lute or drum. Ale and mead aromas mix with the faint scent of cooked meats, roasted nuts, and smoked fish. Patrons lean close across wooden tables, exchanging stories, recounting daily happenings, and sharing news that moves faster than any official messenger could carry it. The air is heavy with warmth, smoke, and the pungent tang of ale, alive with human presence. Merchants in city markets finish their final preparations before shuttering stalls or moving goods indoors. Wooden carts are cleaned, coins counted, goods secured under cloths, and barrels rolled into storage rooms. The faint scent of dried herbs, grains, spices, and preserved foods lingers in the alleys between stalls. Traders' faces are flushed from exertion, hands calloused from labor, yet there is a quiet satisfaction in the ritual of closing for the night. Each stall, each item, each movement carries the rhythm of countless nights performed in the same measured way. Artisans still at work in small workshops linger, completing pieces for urgent orders. A cobbler carefully stitches the final seams of boots, the leather supple under practiced fingers. A smith polishes a delicate hinge or small tool, ensuring every edge is smooth. A scribe dips quill into ink, finishing records or letters for the morrow. These spaces are dimly lit, fires and lanterns providing soft, amber illumination that casts long, swaying shadows over walls and floors. The faint scent of smoke, oil, and materials mixes, marking the room as alive with labor even as the broader city moves into night. City streets, though quieter than during the day, are never truly silent. Guards patrol at regular intervals, their leather boots striking cobblestones in steady rhythm. Dogs roam in packs or follow their masters through alleys. The occasional cart rattles over stones, carrying late-night goods, while travelers and workers move briskly along narrow lanes. The mingling of human, animal, and natural sounds creates a layered symphony of activity, persistent yet subdued, a reminder that life in the city rarely pauses entirely. Even in the late hours, city dwellers find their own rituals of winding down. Families in modest homes prepare small meals or warm drinks, children settle into beds, and fires are tended to maintain warmth. Windows are shuttered, lanterns hung strategically, and doors secured with latches and bolts. Higher above, wealthier households maintain a quiet, deliberate rhythm of comfort. Servants extinguish or tend candles, beds are arranged with wool and furs, and the scent of food, herbs, and smoke fills the air. The contrast between bustling taverns and silent chambers reflects the layered life of a city that never fully sleeps. The sensory experience of city night is rich and varied. The warmth of fires and bodies in taverns mixes with the cool air moving down alleys. The faint scent of bread, meat, and smoked fish competes with the tang of ink, leather, and oil in workshops. Lantern light glows against damp stone, illuminating doorways, staircases, and corners. Shadows flicker and bend, carrying whispers of movement, both human and animal. Every street, lane, and building carries its own story, woven into the larger tapestry of the city at night. Taverns offer refuge and rhythm, places where the weary, the curious, and the lively gather. Patrons share news, recount tales of travel, and indulge in songs or small instruments. Fires crackle in hearths, casting warmth that wraps around bodies tired from labor or trade. The clinking of mugs punctuates conversation, mingling with laughter, low music, and the occasional murmur of planning or negotiation. These spaces are alive, vibrant, and persistent, a heartbeat of human connection in the city's nocturnal landscape. Beyond the taverns, narrow alleys and side streets hold their own quiet life. Shadows shift with lantern light, doors creak open and closed, and faint footsteps echo against stone. Animals, both domestic and wild, move with careful awareness of human activity. Cats stalk through the darkness, dogs follow their masters, and the occasional horse shifts in a stable nearby. The city at night is alive with subtle motion, layered and continuous, a network of life extending beyond the immediate glow of fire and lanterns. Merchants and craftsmen perform final acts of care for their goods and workshops. Carts are rolled into storage, barrels are stacked, tools polished, fabrics folded and secured. The faint scent of oil, wood, leather, and spices lingers, a signature of human diligence and preparation. Each act is deliberate, a rhythm repeated countless nights, a ritual that ensures order and readiness for the morrow. These quiet labors form a counterpoint to the energy of taverns, a layer of stability beneath the visible chaos. The city's rhythm changes subtly as night deepens. Taverns gradually thin as patrons return home, workshops dim as fires are allowed to die, and guards maintain a steady but unobtrusive patrol. The scent of cooking fires fades, replaced by the cool, damp tang of stone streets and flowing water. The occasional owl hoots from a rooftop, the wind brushes through narrow alleys, and the distant hum of the city, still alive, still layered, continues. Even for the wealthy, night in the city carries ritual and reflection. Servants extinguish lamps or tend fires, beds are prepared with blankets and furs, and rooms are arranged for comfort. The faint hum of late-night conversation or distant music may echo through corridors, subtle and unobtrusive. Each household, whether modest or noble, participates in the city's nocturnal rhythm, aligning with both the pulse of human life and the quiet, steady patterns of rest and vigilance. The city at night is a tapestry of contrasts: the energy of taverns and markets, the quiet diligence of workshops, the measured comfort of homes, the protective presence of guards, and the gentle rhythms of nocturnal life. Lanterns flicker, fires crackle, and shadows bend across cobblestones, blending movement, light, and sound into a living tableau. The moon rises higher, silvering rooftops, streets, and distant towers, connecting every layer of the city in soft illumination. Time stretches slowly, each moment carrying the memory of the day and the anticipation of the next. Patrons leave taverns, footsteps echoing softly on cobblestones. Merchants and artisans retire to quiet spaces. Guards maintain their vigilant patrols. Animals settle into stables or roam in search of warmth. The city's heartbeat continues, steady and layered, a rhythm that carries through the night, persistent yet calm. And so, the city sleeps partially and wakes partially, alive with movement, sound and scent. Taverns, streets and workshops coexist in a delicate balance, reflecting the multifaceted nature of urban life in medieval times. The night stretches on, slow, deliberate and immersive, carrying the city gently through hours of rest, watchfulness and quiet energy beneath the moon and stars. Above the lively streets, in houses of polished stone and timber, life moves at a slower, more deliberate pace. Here, the wealthy and influential inhabit spaces designed for comfort, order, and subtle luxury. While taverns hum below and markets close their stalls with rhythmic diligence, these homes pulse with a quieter, yet no less profound, rhythm, the preparation for rest, the safeguarding of property, and the reflection upon the day's events. The streets outside shimmer in the soft glow of lanterns, casting pools of light onto cobblestones wet from the evening dew. Guards make their rounds with steady precision, eyes vigilant yet unhurried, ensuring that doors, gates, and windows remain secure. The occasional distant laughter from a tavern or the faint clatter of a cart echoes along alleyways, a reminder that the city is never entirely still. But within the palatial homes, a different pace prevails, a hush of warmth, order, and meticulous attention. In one stately home, servants move silently along corridors, tending fires and extinguishing candles in preparation for night. Beds are arranged with multiple layers of wool and linen, sometimes adorned with furs to trap the remaining warmth. Curtains are drawn carefully, ensuring privacy and insulation from the cool night air. The scent of herbs, wood smoke, and faint perfumes lingers softly, creating an atmosphere of calm that contrasts sharply with the energy of the streets below. Meals have been digested, yet a small tray of warm milk or light broth may be left for the household's younger members or those rising early. The servants clear dishes and polish silverware, their motions precise and almost ceremonial. Every surface is wiped, every object restored to its proper place. The rhythm of their work is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it forms the foundation of comfort and security for the night. The elite inhabit layers of space designed for privacy and serenity. Drawing rooms and studies are quiet, illuminated only by the gentle flicker of a hearth or a solitary candle. Heavy curtains filter the moonlight, casting muted shadows that stretch across polished floors and walls lined with tapestries or art. The scent of polished wood, perfumed oils, and carefully stored herbs mingles, signaling order, preparation, and care. The quiet of these chambers contrasts deeply with the ongoing vitality of the city beyond their walls. Family members and guests prepare for rest in a measured, deliberate way. Hands brush over linens, furs are adjusted for warmth, and blankets are tucked snugly around bodies. The rooms themselves seem alive with subtle activity, the crackle of embers in the hearth, the faint sigh of the wind brushing against shutters, and the occasional distant footfall of a servant or guard. Each sound, though minimal, contributes to a rhythm of reassurance and security. In private chambers, thoughts drift toward reflection. Nobles consider the day's events, the management of trade, the cultivation of alliances, the care of property, and the quiet influence of their positions. Their minds settle gradually, allowing the warmth of the room and the comfort of bedding to guide them toward rest. The faint scent of beeswax, incense, or herbs enhances this calm, blending subtly with the ambient warmth of fire and body. Guards maintain vigilance outside, their rhythmic steps echoing softly along stone corridors and streets. Dogs lie at their master's feet or in corners, ears twitching occasionally but bodies relaxed. The ambient sounds of the city, distant laughter, the hum of late-night taverns, the shuffle of night travelers persist, yet are softened and distant, forming a background chorus rather than disruption. The elite inhabit a cocoon of calm, insulated from the energy and unpredictability of the urban streets. The moon climbs higher, casting silver light across rooftops, alleys, and courtyards. Shadows shift and stretch across gardens, stone walls, and timbered facades. Trees sway gently, their leaves whispering in the night wind. The air carries subtle scents, dew on grass, wood smoke from distant hearths, and faint traces of food or drink left by those who have lingered late. Each element contributes to the layered nocturnal tapestry of the city, blending the human and natural rhythms seamlessly. Beds are warm and layered, offering firm yet yielding support. Pillows provide gentle comfort, and blankets and furs trap residual heat. The quiet, deliberate motions of settling in, adjusting covers, smoothing surfaces, arranging pillows, become almost meditative. Every touch, every gesture contributes to the sense of readiness, comfort, and security, marking a final act of care before complete rest. Within these homes, the day's accomplishments are absorbed into memory. Investments considered, alliances maintained, tasks completed, all rest beneath the calm of the night. Each breath slows, aligning with the steady rhythm of the household and the city beyond. The quiet pulse of life continues, unbroken, layered across rooftops, streets, and interiors, each layer contributing to the ongoing narrative of human activity and rest. Even as the city hums softly, the elite find profound stillness. The rhythm of breath, the warmth of blankets, the faint flicker of candlelight, and the scent of hearth and herbs create a sanctuary within which sleep arrives gently. The night stretches long, deep, and calm, carrying bodies, minds, and households into rest. Outside, taverns continue for those who linger, lanterns sway in streets, carts rattle quietly, yet within these homes, peace prevails. Time becomes imperceptible, breath aligns with pulse, and limbs sink fully into bedding. The warmth of furs and wool comforts the body. The quiet chorus of the city provides subtle reassurance. Guards, attentive yet calm, patrol at intervals, their footsteps a quiet metronome. The city lives on, even as the elite and their households succumb to gentle, restorative slumber. The moon reflects softly across polished floors and courtyards. The stars glimmer faintly through the night sky. Winds stir leaves and branches, carrying distant scents and sounds. The city is a living organism of layered activity, yet here, in the elevated chambers of wealth and influence, life is slow, deliberate, and deeply attuned to rhythm, care, and continuity. As the night deepens, sleep becomes complete. Thoughts dissolve, muscles relax, and the heartbeat slows to the rhythm of rest. Outside, the streets remain alive in pockets, taverns flicker with lingering energy, and distant alleyways echo faintly with late travelers. Inside, the noble chambers are still, warm, and secure, a haven from the complexity of urban life. In this balance, the city exists as a tapestry of night. Restless streets, lingering taverns, quiet workshops, and serene estates layered together in contrast and harmony. The lives of peasants, artisans, merchants, guards, and elites continue in parallel rhythms, each finding rest, safety, and purpose in its own way. And so the city sleeps partially, lives partially, and dreams fully. The moon ascends, the stars twinkle softly, and the layered heartbeat of urban life carries all within it, a medieval city alive in night, yet serene in its enduring rhythms. The village and city alike have settled into stillness. The streets are quiet, the hearths are low, and the gentle rhythm of night moves softly through every home, workshop, and alley. You can feel it in the air, the calm that comes after a day's labor, a deep sense of completion, and the subtle pulse of life winding down. As you rest here, imagine yourself breathing slowly and deeply, letting the warmth of blankets, the gentle crackle of a dying fire, and the soft glow of moonlight fill your senses. You've traveled through a medieval day, felt the rhythm of labor, the aroma of freshly baked bread, the calm of the hearth, the laughter and songs of streets and taverns, and the hush of those finally slipping into sleep. If you've been listening this far, thank you for joining us. Wherever you are in the world, take a moment to notice yourself here now, with the echoes of the medieval village and city gently fading into the quiet of night. If you feel like it, leave a comment letting us know where you are listening from. Your presence matters, and we love hearing from you. If this journey has brought you calm, wonder, or even a little smile, consider subscribing to MoonieGuide. More stories, more nights of wandering through time and history await, all crafted to help you relax, imagine, and drift into peace. Now let the day's stories settle. Let the rhythm of the village, the city, and the lives we've explored guide your mind into stillness. Feel your body sink deeper into comfort, your breath lengthen, and the pulse of your own heart align with the gentle cadence of night. There is nothing left to do, nowhere to be. All has been seen, smelled, and felt. The baker rests, the artisans sleep, the merchants close their shutters, and the noble houses are calm. Outside, the streets are silent, the wind whispers through trees, and the moon watches over rooftops and fields alike. Tonight, you join them in rest. Let your thoughts slow, your eyelids grow heavy, and your imagination soften. Drift into the quiet, let go of the day, and allow yourself the gentle luxury of peace. Thank you for being here with us on this journey through time, through streets, hearths, and markets. Thank you for listening. And now, with the soft pull of night carrying you into dreams, we say, good night from MoonieGuide. Crescent moon, sleep well, and we'll meet again for another journey through history, story, and imagination.
thank you so much for staying till the end of this story. I really hope you enjoyed your time here tonight and that you felt a little closer to the quiet life of the medieval village. MoonieGuide is still a growing channel, and every bit of your support means the world. If you liked this story, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a like, and maybe share it with someone who loves calm storytelling or history the way you do. You can also comment below and tell me where you're listening from, or what you'd like to explore next. Maybe a castle by candlelight, a medieval festival, or a forgotten city from the past. I love reading your ideas, and many of the stories here begin with a single listener suggestion. We're building something gentle here, a quiet little community for dreamers, night listeners, and lovers of stories. So